Darkness, dust, silence. Attics, those shadowy spaces lurking above our everyday lives, have always held a strange power over us. They are repositories of forgotten memories, filled with the remnants of lives lived and stories untold. But more than that, they are shrouded in an almost primal fear, a fear of the unknown. Perhaps it's the creaking floorboards that speak of unseen footsteps, or the cobwebs, spun by unseen hands, that cling to you like ghostly fingers. Whatever the reason, attics tap into a deep-seated unease within us, a fear of what lurks just beyond the reach of the light. It's a fear that transcends cultures and generations. From the haunted attics of Gothic literature to the dusty treasure troves of our childhood imaginations, attics have always been fertile ground for our deepest fears and most unsettling stories. The attic door is never an invitation. It's a portal to a world forgotten by time, a place where memories linger in the shadows and the past whispers through the cracks. It's a warning. A single creaking step across the threshold transports you to another world. Each step you take is a journey deeper into the unknown, where the air grows colder and the light fades away. The air is stale, thick with dust and the scent of decay. It's as if the very atmosphere is weighed down by the years of neglect. Each particle of dust a fragment of a forgotten story. Sunbeams, weak and hesitant, pierce through cracks in the boarded-up windows, illuminating motes of dust that dance in the oppressive stillness. These beams of light are the only connection to the world outside, a reminder that life continues beyond these walls. The floorboards groan underfoot, each step a gamble. The wood, aged and brittle, protests your intrusion, as if warning you to turn back before it's too late. You never know which one will be the last, sending you crashing through the ceiling below. The danger is real, and the consequences of a misstep are severe. And all around you, shadows stretch and twist, taking on sinister shapes in the half-light. These shadows seem to move with a life of their own, creating an ever-shifting landscape of fear and uncertainty. It's a sensory overload of the unsettling. Every creak, every flicker of light, every shadow that moves in the corner of your eye adds to the growing sense of dread. Your skin prickles with the feeling of being watched, your ears strain for any sound that might betray the presence of something unseen. The silence is deafening, broken only by the occasional groan of the house settling. You are an intruder in this space, a trespasser in a realm where time stands still. The attic holds its secrets close, and you can't shake the feeling that you are not welcome here. Yet, despite the fear, there's a strange allure, a pull that keeps you exploring, searching for something you can't quite name. Every attic has a story to tell. They are echoes of the past, filled with the discarded belongings of previous generations. A chipped teacup from a grandmother's long-forgotten tea party, a faded photograph of a smiling family, their identities lost to time, a child's forgotten toy, its once bright colors dulled with age. These objects hold a strange power, a tangible link to those who came before. They whisper forgotten stories, hinting at lives lived and lost within these very walls. But sometimes these whispers turn into something more. A cold spot in the air, the feeling of being watched, an unsettling presence that sends shivers down your spine. Are these just tricks of the mind, fueled by overactive imaginations and the oppressive atmosphere? Or are they something more? Residual energy perhaps left behind by those who once inhabited these spaces. I've encountered my fair share of strange and unsettling things in my years of exploration. From abandoned asylums to forgotten cemeteries, each place has its own story, its own unique aura. But there's something about attics that always sends a shiver down my spine. Maybe it's the isolation, the sense of being cut off from the rest of the world, or perhaps it's the way the shadows play tricks on your mind. Whatever it is, attics have a way of amplifying the eerie and the unknown, but there's something uniquely unnerving about attics. They are often the most neglected parts of a house, filled with forgotten memories and relics of the past. The air is always thicker, the light dimmer, and the silence more profound. It's as if time itself has decided to stand still in these spaces, leaving behind a palpable sense of unease. I remember one particular investigation in rural Pennsylvania. The countryside was serene, almost picturesque, with rolling hills and dense woods. But nestled within this idyllic setting was a house that stood in stark contrast to its surroundings. The house, a sprawling Victorian mansion, was said to be haunted by its former owner, a reclusive collector of oddities. The mansion itself was a sight to behold, with its grand architecture and overgrown garden that seemed to whisper secrets of the past. It was the kind of place that made you feel like you were stepping into another era, a different world altogether. The attic, accessible only by a rickety ladder, was his sanctum. Climbing that ladder felt like ascending into another realm, a place where the rules of reality no longer applied. Each creak of the wood underfoot seemed to echo louder than the last, heightening the sense of anticipation and dread. It was a labyrinthine space, crammed floor to ceiling with bizarre and unsettling artifacts. Navigating through the clutter felt like walking through a maze of forgotten history, each item telling its own story. There were old books with yellowed pages, strange sculptures that defied explanation, and paintings that seemed to watch you as you moved. Preserved specimens in dusty jars. These jars lined the shelves, each containing something more grotesque than the last. It was as if the collector had tried to capture the essence of life and death within these glass confines. Antique medical instruments that gleamed menacingly in the dim light. These tools, once used to heal, now seemed to hold a more sinister purpose. Their sharp edges and cold metal surfaces reflected the faint light, casting eerie shadows on the walls, and everywhere the unsettling gaze of dozens of porcelain dolls, their painted eyes seeming to follow our every move. These dolls, with their lifelike features and delicate dresses, added an extra layer of creepiness to the already eerie atmosphere. It felt as if they were silently judging us, their expressions frozen in time. The air was thick with a palpable sense of unease. Dust particles floated in the beams of light that managed to penetrate the darkness, adding to the surreal quality of the space. Every breath felt heavy, laden with the weight of countless untold stories. It felt like we were being watched, judged by the silent eyes of the collector's macabre collection. The sensation was almost overwhelming, as if the very walls of the attic were closing in on us, urging us to leave. And then we heard it, a sound that cut through the oppressive silence like a knife. It was faint at first, almost imperceptible, but it grew louder with each passing second, a slow, rhythmic thumping coming from the far end of the attic. It was a sound that seemed to resonate with the very heartbeat of the house, a reminder that we were not alone. The thumping grew louder, more insistent, as if something or someone was trying to make its presence known. We stood frozen, our hearts pounding in unison with the mysterious rhythm, knowing that whatever awaited us in the shadows was something we would never forget. The thumping grew louder, more insistent, echoing through the wooden beams and filling the attic with an eerie resonance. It was as if the very walls were alive, pulsating with a rhythm that matched the quickening pace of our hearts. Our hearts pounded in our chests as we cautiously made our way through the labyrinth of artifacts, our flashlights cutting through the oppressive darkness. Each step felt like a journey into the unknown, the cluttered attic filled with relics of a forgotten past. The beams of our flashlights danced over old trunks, dusty bookshelves, and cobweb-covered furniture, casting long, flickering shadows that seemed to move on their own. The air grew colder, the silence heavier, broken only by the sound of our own breathing and the ominous thumping. It was as if the temperature dropped with each step we took, our breath visible in the dim light, adding to the surreal atmosphere. The silence was almost tangible, pressing down on us, making every sound seem amplified, every creak of the floorboards, every rustle of fabric. We rounded a corner and came face to face with the source of the noise. Our flashlights revealed a large, imposing figure standing in the shadows, its outline barely discernible in the dim light. For a moment we stood frozen, our minds racing to comprehend what we were seeing. A large grandfather clock, its pendulum swinging back and forth with a slow, deliberate rhythm. The clock stood tall and foreboding, its presence dominating the small space. The pendulum's movement was almost hypnotic, drawing our eyes and holding our attention. But there was something off about it. The clock seemed ancient, its wood darkened with age, and its surface covered in intricate carvings that told stories of times long past. Yet, despite its age, it was in perfect working condition, the pendulum swinging with a precision that seemed almost unnatural. The clock face was blank, devoid of numbers or hands. It was an unsettling sight, a clock that marked time without any indication of hours or minutes. It was as if time itself had no meaning in this place. The pendulum swinging in a void, marking the passage of something we couldn't understand. And yet, the pendulum continued its hypnotic swing, marking the passage of time in this timeless space. It was a paradox, a clock that told no time, yet moved with a purpose. The longer we stared, the more we felt drawn into its rhythm, as if the pendulum's swing was pulling us into another world. As we stared at the clock, the thumping suddenly stopped. The silence that followed was deafening, a void that seemed to swallow all sound. It was as if the clock had been the heart of the attic, and with its silence, everything else ceased to exist. Silence descended once more, heavier and more oppressive than before. The air felt thick, almost suffocating, as if the very atmosphere was pressing down on us. The sense of unease grew, the feeling that we were not alone, that something unseen was watching us from the shadows. We were alone again, but the feeling of being watched lingered, clinging to us like the dust motes that danced in the air. The attic, once a place of forgotten memories, now felt like a living entity, aware of our presence and waiting for our next move. The silence was no longer just an absence of sound, but a presence in itself, a reminder that in this place shadows and silence held dominion.